All right. Well, hello and welcome to Women Winning Wednesday. It is just so exciting to see all of you. I know I've seen a lot of you in my travels as we go to Emerge events or a local visit, but you got to love Zoom. I heard people checking in from North Carolina to New Jersey to Ohio to Canada to California to Texas here. Howdy, y'all. And so it's just awesome. I love this technology. And for those of you that are just joining for the very first time on this Women Winning Wednesday call, I want to encourage you to invite one more person onto this call, because you never know that just by hearing the message that is shared here tonight, maybe that might have given them that golden nugget to help their business take it to the next level. And so I want to encourage you, keep inviting people. The numbers are still climbing. This is awesome. We actually host this call every single Wednesday. Senior Vice President Miss Chanel Burt, about a little over 3 years ago, had a calling that she needed to create a platform so that we can hear from some amazing women in our company. And over the years, we have had an opportunity to hear and share from all different walks of life, from regional coordinators, regional directors, regional vice presidents, and senior vice presidents. So what I'll say is, whenever Miss Chanel Burt calls that individual to ask them to be a featured speaker, she never tells them what to say. So every time you hear somebody share on this call, they're speaking from the heart, which I love that. How about you? Like, I love when you can hear the truth, like the real deal, nothing, filtered. It is straight from pure experience and their excitement. There are tears that are shed on this call, and I think it's absolutely beautiful. So again, you guys, promote this weekly call because it is a great tool, not just for yourself. Not just only are you being fed, but you can help somebody else too. So Miss Chanel Burt, for those of you that don't know, is celebrating her birthday. And listen, I'm a true believer in nobody benefits when you are at 2%. You got to do a little bit of self-care and take some time off and focus on you. How about you guys? Anybody agree on that? Okay, so she's doing a little self-care. Her husband is spoiling her right now on her birthday trip. And so she has asked me to jump on this call here tonight, not just host, but to share a little bit about what's been happening in our business these last couple of weeks that we've been traveling a lot, but also I'm going to share with you guys my journey. So for those of you that I'm meeting for the very first time, although I see a lot of familiar faces, and it is awesome. This business has really helped myself in creating new friendships. This business created friendships that I never thought I'd have. Like I met people that I normally probably would never meet in a regular circumstance. So you might meet your best friend in this business. I love that, right? I was just on a Zoom call just literally 15 minutes ago. I just wrapped up with that one. And one of the gentlemen that was on the call, we met him in the business, but because of our, obviously we were building the business together, but we just got along so well that he became such a spiritual mentor to my husband and I, that come the day that we decided to get married, we asked him to get ordained, and he's a regional vice president in our organization today. So you never know who you're gonna meet. Some of your best friends are in this business. But for those that are just hearing my story for the very first time, let me just take you back really quick to my journey. I have been a part of ACN now for 10 years. I got started at 22 years old. I'm 32 now. And prior to ACN, I sold insurance for a living. So I worked for a very, very big company that you all are familiar with their jingle, like a good neighbor. Melissa was always there. I was always there. 6 days a week, actually. So I started that career at 18 years old. And that was because when I graduated high school, my mom said, you're either getting a really good job or you're going to school, but you're not staying home and doing nothing. So I started college and I couldn't find my calling there. I didn't know what direction God wanted me to go. And thankfully so, a good friend of mine introduced me to the world of insurance. So at 18 years old, I had my big girl job. I started making a decent salary for myself, and I was responsible. At least I thought so. And a few years into that industry, although my salary was great, I don't know if any of you guys can relate to this, but my reality was if I did not go to work, I did not make money. So God forbid if something happened to my health or the economy, I wasn't financially prepared. And those were the things I was thinking of at 20, 21 years old, 22 years old. And God is so good because a friend of mine reached out to me out of the blue. I didn't know I was looking for ACN. I knew I was looking for something. I just didn't know it was going to become beautifully wrapped in a company called ACN. And she reached out to me and asked me if I was open to diversifying my income. And I was presented ACN. And I was the youngest individual in that presentation. So do not prejudge your younger folks, okay? There are some sharp tools there, okay? I was the youngest person in the room. Everybody in that home presentation was double my age, dressed to the nines, super fancy. I had no credibility, but I saw residual income and got involved. And I started building this business part-time for a couple of years. And then fast forward 10 years later, I've been building this business full-time now for over 7 years. From home, I built this business with my husband. I met my husband in this business. So yay, ACN, a matchmaking company there, another one. But it's been a blessing for my husband and I. And, I live in Dallas, Texas. If you guys know any Texans, like check on your Texas friends because we're not okay. It's like 112 degrees every day. But thank God we work from home. We work from Zoom online. I don't really ever step outdoors other than to let my dog go potty. But that's what I love about this business today is that as the world changes and we're turning onto online faces, the fact that we can build this business wherever we are in the world at any given moment. How many of you guys like that, right? You determine when you can turn on and turn off your business. How many of you guys like that, right? So it's been a blessing. I'm a regional vice president in my organization. My husband is also regional vice president in his organization. We're currently building his position to senior vice president. And by the grace of God, we'll get it done at the end of this year. So keep us in prayers, you guys. But we're just excited because there's so much happening right now in ACN. Right. As you guys noticed, there's, ACN's acquiring companies. Let's talk about that for a second. Not only that, but they're adding more services for you. Like, I just love that they're not a stagnant company, that they're not, they don't want to just stay exactly where they are. When you ever get a chance to meet the founders of ACN and the leadership board, they're thinking 5, 10 years, 20 years from now. Like, while you're soaking in the goodness of Impact Health Share, because that's our newest service, they're already thinking about how else can we support the individuals on the field like you and I? How else can we make this a better opportunity for our independent business owners, for our customers, and for the company so that we can stay in business for a long, long time? I love that about this company. But so much is going on. They got all these different Emerge events. And so Miss Chanel Burt saw that my husband and I have been traveling a little bit, nothing crazy. We're just doing some local marketplace visits. We did an event in Connecticut. That's where I moved from to Texas. So we were in Connecticut for family. And then we said, hey, since we're up in the Northeast, why not get together with our Connecticut team? We had a phenomenal turnout and people are just as excited to come and meet you. When you get a chance to meet your team members that you've only known on Zoom, and then you meet them in the flesh, it's almost like they touch you and they're like, oh my God, you're real. Like, you actually exist. So we went from that. And then we did a Dallas event here. And then 2 days later, we did a Houston event. But what I'll tell you as we visit each of these live events, the one thing that stayed consistent with each of our visits was we're in the people business. And you can only do so much on Zoom when it comes to relatability and connection. But when you are sitting shoulder to shoulder, side by side, and getting a chance to really actually meet people is where success lives. What I mean by that is, like, I had a gentleman that was at my Houston event last week, and sharp guy. I mean, like, he's done decent. He became an ATL in his first 2 weeks in ACN. He's a real estate investor. But when we came out to Houston, he brought 2 friends with him. One of them is another real estate property management guy, and another one owns a lending mortgage company. And it wasn't until actually being in person and sitting across the table and getting to know one another and laughing together and having, a meal together after the event was all of a sudden the light bulb of, like, this is beyond making money. This is about relationship and building something together long term. From that, we just, one of those guys had a meeting yesterday for the first time. We signed up 4 people on the spot because his edification to us now isn't just, oh, I met these guys on Zoom a couple weeks ago. It was, man, like these guys are the real deal. Like they're real people and they're genuine and they love the company and they're really here to serve. And so, if I know that some of you guys are building in marketplaces that might be not feasible to physically visit, but you might want to consider if you've got some local activity or the next time you're vacationing somewhere and you might have a rep in that city, like how when Jeff and I went to New England last week or a couple of weeks ago and we made it into a slightly business trip. Like, I want to encourage you, meet with people. Meet with people. They got to know you, who you are, what you stand for, have a conversation with them, have a meal with them. It goes a long way. We're in the people business. Yes or no? People business. Yes or no? So, all right. So when it comes to tonight's topic, though, I know she wanted me to share a little about that. But other than that, I don't really have anything written out. So what I truly believe is the best training. One of the philosophies in our organization is sharing stories is the best training. You learn from real life experiences. So I'm going to talk to you guys about a couple of stories of people that I've met through this business in hopes that it might inspire you to keep talking to people, because you never know where you're going to find that pearl, where you're going to find that person. So in no numerical order, I'm just going to rattle off some of the women. I'm going to focus on women only because this is a Women Winning Wednesday call, but I'll give the guys a couple shout outs too. Okay. So Walter, don't give me a funny face or nothing. Or David, don't worry. I love the guys too, but I'm focused on the powerful women in my business. The first individual I'm gonna share on is actually Miss Susie Potter. So some of you guys have heard of Miss Susie Potter. She's a regional vice president in ACN. She is out in the California marketplace. But what's interesting about Miss Susie, how we met her, is her sponsor, Miss Angela. And Angela was a complete cold market person. And for those that don't know what a cold market is, it means you have no relationship with them. They might be a total stranger that you just met on the street 5 seconds ago. So Miss Angela, we piqued her interest in our opportunity and said, are you looking for other ways of making money? And lo and behold, she was, because her corporate job that she worked for a Fortune 50 company was closing business. And so she was about to be out of a job, and she's a multi-6-figure earner. So she was quickly looking for something. So we thought, awesome, Angela, she's going to be amazing. She has the skill set. She has the mindset. She has leadership. She's a business owner as well. Well, for those of you that remember home meetings, raise your hand if you guys remember home meetings. Anybody remember those days? My God, all the Zoom babies on here, you have no idea what we're talking about right now. So home meetings is when you used to get in your car and you used to drive across town and go to a home presentation in a living room and share about ACN. So Angela was having her first home meeting. And we're all excited because she had 24 people on the confirmation list. How many of you guys would be excited if you had 24 people on a confirmation list on a new personal recruit of yours? Yeah? Okay, we were too. Well, about an hour and a half before her meeting happens, Angela has cold feet. Anyone ever experienced somebody with cold feet? She had cold feet. She said, I don't think I can do this. I'm backing now. No, this is not it. I don't know. This is not the right timing. I got this excuse after the other. And what's interesting is she didn't want to hear it, first of all, to the point where she actually hung up on us on the phone. And we finally got a hold of her again. And we're like, listen, Angela, you already got 24 people coming to your house. We all have your addresses. So whether it's me and you singing Kumbaya together or we're going to have a meeting, we're coming over regardless. So you might as well have the meeting and we'll take it from there. See, I want you guys to think about the situation. Imagine you were in our shoes and you had a rep that was self-doubting at that moment, really contemplating if she could do the business or not. And she gave you every excuse in the book. How many of you guys truthfully would have been like, all right, no worries. I'm not going to drive 45 minutes across town to come to a home meeting. That ain't going to happen. Let's be real, you guys. Some of you guys would be like, yeah, let's just cancel it. I'm not going to drive. I'm not going to waste gas money on you. $6 gas a pump right now, right? Okay, listen, we took a stand. Sure enough, she has her meeting. Sure enough, the very first person that signed up from that home meeting was Regional Vice President, Miss Susie Potter. Miss Susie Potter today has over 9,000 customers in her downline. How many of you guys are so glad I took a stand? My husband and I took it. How many of you guys would be so glad you took a stand? See, you never know. Angela is a phenomenal regional director today. She has over 200 personal customer points, and Susie's on her first level, and Susie has 400 personal customer points. Angela's happy she didn't quit that meeting. You know what I mean? So take a stand for people. That's my point in that story. And from Susie, we met amazing people like Regional Vice President Poppy Massey. Yeah, that came from Susie Potter. Poppy Massey, she wanted to only become a customer. Susie met Poppy at a networking event. All she wanted to be was a customer for her rental property. She had over 30 rental properties that had Airbnbs. And she's like, listen, I just want to make a residual on my own services. Poppy gets in, saw the value of leveraged income, saw the value of residual. She introduced several folks. Today, Poppy's a regional vice president. Susie has led us to regional director, Miss Carrie Dahl, a customer queen, to regional coordinator, Margot Lesser, and many more. I think about Miss Barvinia Wooten out of the Maryland marketplace. Barvinia Wooten is a regional director today. She's a basketball coach by trade. She owns a women's professional basketball team in Richmond, Virginia. Sorry, she's in Richmond, Virginia. She's a very busy lady. She's an author. How did I meet her? About 4 years ago or so, I did a presentation in Seal Beach, California. We met this lady through our personal trainer. So think about the people you do business with, you guys, okay? If you have a personal trainer, here's my story. So through our personal trainer, we met a woman that had a meeting, that met another woman that had a meeting, that met another guy, that as we were giving the ACN presentation, we couldn't even get to box 2. Box 2 where it talks about all the services we offer. Here's all the essential services, da, da, da. We couldn't even finish that box, that slide. And Tyrone's like, wait, sign me up right now. I'm in. Speak no further. How do I get registered? And we're like, we didn't even tell you how much the cost was. Like, what if it was like $50,000 to sign up in ACN right now? Joking. But he was like, but the point of it was, the reason why he jumped the gun so quickly to get involved is because Tyrone had been a Flash mobile customer all these years. See, his friend a couple years prior had called him up and said, hey, I started a new business. I'm a couple customers away from a promotion. Can you do me a huge favor and be my customer? And Tyrone wanted to support his friend and became a cell phone customer. He had no idea he could make money from his own cell phone service. So when he saw the ACN presentation, he's like, wait a minute, I pay a monthly bill to that brand right there. I didn't know I could make money on my own service. He signs up. He comes to an ACN convention. At the coffee line, he meets a woman that's standing in front of him that's holding a book, and he just asks her the question, hey, how's that book? They started having a conversation. He gives her a one-on-one presentation right then and there about ACN. She signs up, and that's Regional Director, Miss Barvinia, who led us to Regional Coordinator, Miss Stacy Thomas in Virginia. Think about that story right there. Here's what I always tell my team. Lead with the business, settle for a customer. You never know if someone's going to say yes or no to the opportunity. Who are you to judge that for them? Give everybody the fair chance to decide. And then if they say no to the business, what we found is people are more likely to be a customer after they see a presentation. All right, let's see. I got a regional director, Miss Tanya Randall. How did I meet her? From my husband and I, we were at a coffee shop in Rhode Island, and it was actually Panera Bread. And we were giving a presentation to a cold market person that we had just met. And after the presentation, the guy sitting next to us at the table, you never know who's eavesdropping, the guy sitting next to us at the table goes, excuse me, what was that you just told that guy about? So we give him a presentation. He likes the opportunity, and we're like, hey, what are you doing in 3 days? He's like, I'm a pastor, so I'm gonna be preaching on Sunday. Why? We go, how about taking a road trip from Rhode Island to North Carolina because we have a company convention this weekend? Like, this is a guy that we just met 5 minutes ago and he gave a presentation to. You never know. Worst thing they could say is no. Sure enough, that gentleman comes to the convention. By the end of Friday evening of the ACN convention, he makes a couple of phone calls. One of them was to Regional Director Tanya Randall. He said, listen, I found it. This is an awesome opportunity. His pure excitement from being at an event is what got her excited about looking at the opportunity. From her, we've built a massive organization. I lost count how many regional directors are in that line. I think somewhere around 8 or 9. But from her, we met Roberta Hosky, to Passion Watts Gaines, to soon to be regional coordinators, Tracy and Miss KD. So just a phenomenal organization there. But that story has begun because of an ASIN event. Are you using ASIN events to leverage your business? Are you using the conventions, the Emerge regional events to build your momentum? Because you never know who shows up, who gets inspired, who gets educated, who gets excited, and the phone calls they make from that point on. Let's see, who else? I think about Regional Director, Miss Lori Shea. How did we meet her? Well, so my husband was on on a personal recruiting rampage at the start of at the beginning of the pandemic, because he was like, we're stuck at home. Everybody's on social media. Everybody's talking more than they ever have on social media. So I'm gonna use this time to build some new relationships, but also cultivate and recreate some old friendships. So he started doing a couple of inspirational, whether it was 2, 3, 4 minute videos of just a daily motivation, nothing fancy, but just a lesson that he learned the night before. And he just shared that on social media. You never know the power of social media and your influence. One of the gentlemen that watched a video of his was someone he hadn't spoken to in 13 years. You guys, as I share the story, remember that your best recruits doesn't have to be your circle of influence or people you're closest to. It could come from any direction. It could come from, right, Debbie? It could come from a complete stranger or someone you've lost connection to and you've rekindled that flame. So there was a gentleman that my husband hadn't spoken to in 13 years. True story, it was actually the cousin of his ex-girlfriend, the 3 ex-girlfriends before I came into the picture, right? Thank God that relationship didn't work out. Otherwise, we wouldn't be here right now. But so Skylar, says, hey man, I'm seeing your videos and they look awesome. What are you up to these days? And so Jeff starts, having a conversation with him. Skylar gets involved. Skylar has a meeting. Skylar invites his friend, Josh. Wow, let me tell you about Josh. Okay, Josh, I love him to death like he's a brother, but my God, he is like a brother, a pain in the butt sometimes. But listen, and I say this respectfully, but Josh didn't have a whole lot of credibility in his crowd. You know what I mean? He wasn't a business owner, he wasn't a real estate professional, he was just a hardworking dude. So Josh gets involved with ACN and he has his first meeting. But of course, now let me ask you guys this. How many of you guys have ever worked with somebody, had somebody that joined your team that maybe didn't fit some of those A player criteria? Business owner, network marketing experience, real estate professional, makes over 6 figures a year. People that might not have a whole lot to their name. They're good people, but don't have that credibility and professionalism. So that was Josh. So as he was inviting people, we said, hey, listen, make sure, this is keynote here, if you're ever working with somebody that falls into a similar category, tell them to invite their family members, their parents, their siblings, their cousins, their best friends, their aunties, their uncles, grandparents, not because you're trying to recruit them, but they could be a great support system for customers, just as a support system. So Josh invites his mom and basically says, Mom, can you please support me? I'm having my first meeting. I just need a body there. Literally, he said, I just need a body there. This is on Zoom. I just need people to show up. So she comes to the meeting. Anybody seen these on meetings? Not if you read her facial expressions, it's man, this lady must be from New England. She's got that harsh New England look right now, didn't want nothing to do with ACN. But what's interesting is she had said, I came on here solely to support my son. But by the end of the presentation, she said, I'm not letting my son get rich without me. Sign me up. And she became Josh's very first business partner. Today, Miss Lori Shea is a regional director with almost 10,000 customers in her organization. We have broken many and promoted many regional directors and regional coordinators in her downline. And she came from somebody that said, hey, can you just come on and support me? You never know. You can't say the right thing to the wrong person and the wrong thing to the right person. Yes or no? All right. Through Miss Lori, we met phenomenal people like regional coordinator Sandra Vance and Janae Hellam, amazing regional. Matter of fact, we just promoted somebody to regional director last week in Lori's downline. Let me talk about Miss Natalie. Where did Natalie Henschelwood come from? Natalie Henschelwood is exactly the reason why I went to Houston last week. She is the exact reason why we had a live event in Houston last week with over 150, 60 people in a room. Some of you guys were in that actual meeting. How did Natalie come about? Well, there was a gentleman that had gotten started. This is way down in Lori's organization. Gentleman that got started in ACN. He is in the mortgage industry. We scheduled a Zoom for him. So here's another tip for you guys. I know I'm like, by the way, when I train or talk sometimes, I just ramble of like, I'm like a squirrel. Like I'll just throw a bunch of different things at you. So hopefully you're keeping up. I know it's late at night for some of you guys, but hopefully you're keeping up. Okay, so here's the tip. As soon as somebody gets started, get into action with them right away. Schedule a Zoom meeting right away. My goal is as soon as you get started in my team, we're going to schedule a Zoom meeting within the next 48 hours, 72 at the absolute latest, but within the next 24 to 48 hours, I'm getting in front of your contacts. So this gentleman gets involved, schedules a Zoom meeting. 2 people, he invited 2 people, which is fine. Listen, it's better than none, right? He invited 2 people. Well, out of those 2 people, 1 person showed up. That 1 person was literally like, you ever meet somebody and they left their microphone unmuted and you can hear every chaotic thing happening in their background? Like he must have had his phone in his pocket and you can listen to him walking around or whatever. I mean, the guy was on the way to the airport. It just sounded chaotic, right? Anyway, he listened to the entire presentation. He was like, this makes too much sense for me not to do. I'm a real estate agent and I refer my clients to all these vendors as is, but I don't get paid on them. So he gets involved with ACN. That gentleman today is Regional Director Randall Zamora. Randall Zamora, when he had his meeting, it was, I think, his second meeting or so, is when he invited his good friend. Now, Randall lives in Dallas. Thank God for Zoom. He invited his friend in Houston. That individual is Miss Natalie Henschelwood. She got promoted last week to Regional Director. She did it in under 5 months' time. She is, I say this because I love her. And if she's on here, no, I love you, Natalie, that I'm telling everybody this. But when she got started in ACN, her first words to me were, I'm going to be a big pain in the butt to you, but I'm at least going to be a producing pain in the butt. I was like, all right, as long as you do that. And sure enough, she kept her word. She totally kept her word. She's still a pain in my butt today, but I love her to death because she puts her back into it. She works the business and it's phenomenal. Just in the last 24 hours alone, I think she signed up 5 new business partners, open line to her. So she's on fire right now. That's Regional Director, Miss Natalie Henschelwood. Her husband is a regional coordinator today. Let's see. I see Dr. Julie on here. Let me talk about Dr. Julie and I'll start to wrap up, you guys. Hopefully you guys are getting something out of this. You guys getting something out of this? Like give me a thumbs up or a shimmy or like a raise a hand or throw out a fire emoji or something so I know you're still listening and you're still here. Okay, good. Okay. So, oh wow, look at all these emojis. There's like 14 thumbs up and 6 hearts and 5 fireworks and 2 fire flames and 1 clap and 1 100. I like that. I could see that. Okay, so that's good. That tells me you're paying attention. Okay, how did I meet Dr. Julie? My gosh, Dr. Julie. So my husband and I, we were living in Newport Beach, California. Let me go back to the power of being in the people business and meeting with people. There's something special about actually human connection, right? So my husband and I, we go to a lot of different networking events. If I were you, Google search some local networking events. Get out of your house. Like you've been in your house for too long. Get out of your house, okay? There are people out there looking and waiting and praying to meet you. You just don't know it yet. So there was a networking event in Newport Beach, California. It's called BNI. For those of you that aren't familiar, research BNI, Business Networking International. They have chapters all around the country. It's actually an international organization where a group of local business owners meet together, usually once a week. So we met a gentleman in the real estate world, and he gets started. And when he had his first meeting, he had his friend from church, his brother in Christ. He invited Dan to the presentation. Dan at the end of the presentation says, listen, this all sounds really good. Wait till you meet Dan. He's like full, like goatee, like, I mean, like the dude is just awesome, right? He's just so calm and collective. So Dan was like, this all sounds good, but you need to talk to my wife. You, as long as you get approval from her, and she's a tough cookie, then I'm in. But she's tough. Like, she's gonna ask you 1,000,001 questions. She's very skeptical. She questions everything. How many of you guys are like, if that was you, you'd be like, oh, great, bring it on. Do I even want to deal with somebody like that? Listen, spouses, I always say, if your spouse is not supportive, don't do the business. I don't want to deal with that drama. I'm not trying to be a marriage counselor, right? But I want to at least meet your spouse. So anyway, I was like, all right, fine, let me meet Julie. My gosh, if you guys have ever met Dr. Julie Flood, she is diehard ACN. Like, if you've ever been to the Emerge events, she has worked at every Emerge event as a volunteer. She's a veterinarian by trade. That should say everything. She loves animals, unconditional love right there. But Dr. Julie Flood has always, she's never missed a residual check. Let me tell you that. She's a personal customer acquisition queen. You know, she loves on her team, loves on her people. I mean, people pray for somebody like Dr. Julie on their team. I pray you find yourself a Dr. Julie on their team. And almost we didn't meet her because her husband might have scared you off based off of what he said. Now, we love Dan, but what he said about his wife was not true. She was not a tough cookie. As long as she was heard and got her questions answered, she was 100% in. You know, let me talk really quickly about Miss, and through her, I met Miss Janice Lavelle. I know she's on here. And one other story, and I'll start wrapping up, I swear. So there was a time where, this is during the pandemic, well, actually, this is right before pandemic. And my team and I, we came out with a challenge that for fun, we wanted to go after cold market. Like, because, you know, those don't really, if you can take the emotional side of the business out, you're not affected by yes or no's. They're just a yes or a no. Like, they're either in or they're out, okay? Like, take the emotional factor out of this business. Don't get so caught up in your feelings if somebody doesn't want to do the business. It's just not the right timing, probably. So, so we decided to go on a cold market blitz, and we had an accountability group that we said, we're going to cold market call 20 realtors a day. Now, pick a place, pick a city, and call 20 realtors. Like, how do you find these phone numbers? Thank God for the internet. Like, we went online and we Google search real estate agents near me or real estate agents in this area. So one of those phone calls was to a woman named Cheryl. Cheryl picked up, hey, Cheryl, do you ever look for other ways of making more money in addition to your real estate business? Yes. Now, it took maybe like 30 phone calls until we got to Miss Cheryl. Okay, 30 no's before we found Miss Cheryl. Cheryl said yes. We met her at a coffee shop, first time in the flesh, didn't know what each other looked like. She gets started. She said, let me introduce you to my real estate mentor, Sarah. Sarah gets started. We have, same thing. I was like, Sarah, we got to get in front of a presentation for you so we can help you start building a team. Sarah has a home meeting, and at her home meeting is her BFF of all time, Miss Flavia Felix. Now, listen, Flavia had her husband Angel with her. So Angel was in the room where we were giving the presentation. Flavia wanted nothing to do with the presentation. Like, you couldn't find her at the furthest end of the house of where the meeting was. I mean, sour face. I love you, Flavia, if you're on, okay? But sour face, arms crossed, but could not even listen to a word you're saying. She was just going through it. There was something happening in her personal life. Some of you guys judge people based off of what's happening in their life that you don't know what they're dealing with, and you take it personal into your ACM business. The world does not revolve around you, okay? So Flavia was dealing with something personal that was happening that moment. And so when her husband saw the presentation, he decided he wanted to do it. And she said, absolutely not. No, he's not doing the business. Anyone ever met that spouse? No, don't want to, no, cannot do this. My husband said no. My wife said no, I can't do this, right? Well, listen, it starts with communication. So she's telling him, no, you cannot do it. And while we're there in the room with her. So we had a conversation with her, and we said, Flavia, even if you don't do it, could you at least support your husband? Like, this is a venture that he's clearly excited about. Look at his face. And we're going to be here to support him to see it through. But it doesn't work if his household doesn't support him. Could you at least support him and give him a chance? Give him a chance to prove to you that he can succeed in this business. So after a little bit of talk, she said, okay, fine. So sure enough, Angel goes to work, and he works, and he starts getting those direct deposits. and they have a joint checking account. So she sees the direct deposit. So she's like, okay, wait, maybe this does work. And so I go do a home presentation for Angel, and that was the very first time she actually sat through the presentation. By the end of my presentation, she said, sign me up right now. I'm not letting my husband get rich without me. Today, Flavia Felix is a regional director. She is a personal customer acquisition queen as well. She has built a massive organization. Down one leg is regional director Jose Ramos. Today's his birthday. Happy birthday, Jose. Down another leg is regional director Craig Clark, who also just promoted another regional director, Miss Ashley Briers. Craig is about to become a regional vice president probably in the next maybe 3-4 months, about there. But down that organization, what if we caved in to Flavia not wanting to support her husband? It's just a conversation. If I rewinded the clock, I wasn't friends with her. So if we never talked ever again, okay, life goes on. But at least I took a stand. My husband and I took a stand for Angel on his behalf while taking a stand for their family. Let me tell you something powerful about Miss Flavia and Angel. Angel is a sous chef at a country club. Flavia is a bartender and owns a travel agency. They got started right before the pandemic happened, about a month before the pandemic happened. And if you know anything about the travel industry and the restaurant industry, it went down. Do you know that ASEAN was their saving grace? ASEAN was what kept them afloat. Their residual check was what kept them alive in their household as far as income producing activities, because they couldn't physically go to work. They couldn't, work people weren't traveling. So she wasn't getting travel bookings, and ASEAN became their saving grace. What's awesome is her residual check and her bonuses that she gets from ASEAN each month as she's building her team, open line. She's recruiting right now, her and Angel. That income allowed her to never have to walk back into a bar as a bartender ever again. She didn't want to be a bartender forever. She's like, it's hard on your feet. You're standing all day. So she was able to walk away from that. She now is a travel agent full-time and ASEAN full-time, but she gets to travel as a hobby too, as a paid hobby. How many guys like that? Right? You never know who you're talking to and what kind of saving grace you're giving them, what kind of blessing you're giving them. So I know I went over time, and I so appreciate you all jumping on here and staying on here. You guys still with me? Give me another shimmy, a thumbs up, or a worm, whatever. What is this, a wave? I don't know. I got elbows, so I can't really bend. So, okay, you're still here. Okay, good. Okay, so I want to end on this. I heard something powerful over the weekend that just blew my mind. If you've ever heard about redwood trees, anyone ever heard of redwood trees? Redwood trees are one of the strongest trees there is. What makes them so strong is interesting though. Their roots only grow 6 to 12 feet deep. That's not very deep. If you think about trees and the root system and how deep they can go, redwood trees are really grown on the surface. They only grow as deep as 6 to 12 feet. So how is it that a redwood tree can withstand some of the strongest hurricanes, windstorms, fire, literally could defeat the adversity? Why is that? Because the way that redwood trees grow is they grow to intertwine their roots with the other redwood trees next to them. So what happened is they're growing together. They're locking arms together. And it's because of their environment that one another is feeding off of each other. Their nutrients are supporting one another. It's almost like picture an army of men and women locking arms together. And you could take one person down, but you can't take an entire army down, right? That's what redwood trees are. It's about your support system. Why do I bring that up? Because events like this on Women Winning Wednesday, events like Emerge, events like the conventions is your support system. It's where you flourish and where you grow. And the fact that we have 168 people at 10:44 p.m. Eastern time on a Wednesday night listening in because you're so devoted to growing your business, it means you're trying to be fed. You're trying to have that support system, that nutrient to take your business to the next level. And we're only as, I guess the better word to say is we grow stronger together. Can we agree on that? We grow stronger together. So I look at this right here as a Redwood Tree organization. I don't care whose downline you are, who your upline is. ACN is ACN. We're family. We're family. So, you know, one day when you become a regional coordinator, a regional director, a regional vice president, or a senior vice president, and you share your story, realize that your adversity that you're going through right now, you got the backing of a Redwood Tree right now. Like, you got your support system, but when you share your story, you're feeding others so that whatever their adversity they're going through, you're helping them through that, not knowing that this is you in the future. Like me right now, like I would have never thought 10 years ago that this would have been me. I was just doing the business just to do the business. So, you know, on that note, you guys, Miss Chanel Burt runs this call weekly. I mean, granted, once in a blue moon, she might have to cancel it for personal reasons, but this is a consistent call. How many of you guys got something out of today? All right, I did my job. Good. As long as one person raised their hand, I did my job. So you guys plug into these events. We got the Cleveland event coming up on August 13th, you guys. How many of you guys are going to Cleveland? Who am I going to see in Cleveland? Woo, woo, Cleveland, we're coming to you. We got the Florida event, end of September. I want to challenge you that if you're not registered for either event, that before you go to bed tonight, register. Register. Take that leap and register. Just get yourself into that environment. So hopefully I covered everything. And actually, here's what we're gonna do, because Miss Chanel Burt was celebrating her birthday, right? So I'm gonna unmute you guys. If you guys could do me a favor and wish Miss Chanel Burt a happy birthday and thank her for being who she is and how she is with our company and our organization. So you guys go for it.
Happy birthday, Chanel.
Happy birthday, Chanel. You're doing a great job.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Birthday, Chanel.
All of you.
Birthday, Chanel.
Happy birthday.
We love you very much. Thank you for your leadership and your commitment to excellence. And we will see you guys next Wednesday on Women Winning Wednesday. You guys, thanks for joining us tonight and thanks for hearing me out. Bye.